Wanna talk? So let's talk. Yeah. Talk. You wanna talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk, you wanna talk.
Good evening, and welcome. It's time to talk to Solomon. That's me, Stan Solomon, and my co-host.
Chief Steve.
I see. Am I on? Okay, very good. Chief Steve is with us, and also my friend Larry Pratt, the Executive Director of Gun Owners of America. Larry, how's everything in the District of Criminals?
Doing swimmingly if you are a criminal or a politician.
Let me ask you the question of the day. The Democrats start their convention today. The Republicans ended their convention last Thursday. You're there where most of the political incestors are, and I don't use that word lightly. You know, you have to be careful where you sit and certainly where you bend over in that city. But what is the feeling?
Well, we saw at the Republican convention a substantially middle America presentation of representatives of different bases within the Republican Party, kind of people like us, if you will, that were most of the spokesmen. And I think, frankly, in Charlotte, you're going to see a freak show. You're going to see what the Democrat Party has become over the last several years, whereas it used to have pro-United States liberals like Hubert Humphrey, Franklin Roosevelt, Harry Truman. The liberal Democrat of today has nothing but scorn for the United States, thinks the United States is the root of all evil in the world and domestically, and acts accordingly. So it's certainly not the Democrat Party of decades ago. It has very much been taken over by communists and by hard leftists. People like Frank Marshall Davis, the communist mentor of our president, was indicative of what happened to the Democrat Party. Back in Hawaii in the 50s and 60s, he, along with other communists, became members of the Democrat Party. And that began the pull to the hard left within the Democrat Party. And they've never really recovered from that. They've had little ability to say, well, no, it's not true. We don't have any enemies to the left. They can't deny that. They've actually begun, I think, to defend that. And that's why I think this convention in Charlotte could be a prescription for defeat. If they hadn't already laid the groundwork for defeat already, I think the schedule they've set up in Charlotte should just about take care of it.
Well, that's from our perspective. Chief Steve, you just went to see the movie 2016. I think this is an appropriate time to talk about Larry's and my, and frankly, your inability to, I don't know if the word is understand or comprehend, perhaps, the way the left is thinking.
Yes, well, the movie was very, very good and very interesting, but I realized watching 2016 that most Americans don't realize how the rest of the world works, and they don't realize how Barack Obama was trained, like Larry just was describing. And so, for example, in this country, 1% of our population is considered to be in poverty, but our 1% in poverty lives like kings and queens compared to most of the rest of the world. Not just those in poverty, but most of the rest of the world. And so Barack Obama did not grow up being trained in American values. He got trained in other values in other countries, from other people from other countries, including Mr. Davis, as Larry mentioned. But his view of America is very, very bad. He does not want to fix America. He wants to destroy America, and he's on a plan to do that. And so just the latest comment that he made, that he's given himself an incomplete. So what does that mean? When Barack Obama ran the first time, he ran on hope and change. He never described that. And so most Americans imagined their hope and change, what they wanted, but the hope and change Barack Obama wanted was to destroy America.
Larry?
It's amazing. I too saw 2016, and of all of the people who were instrumental in forming the Obama that we know today, and probably chief of them being Frank Marshall Davis, who had at Obama during his teenage years in Hawaii before he went off to Occidental College, which was something that apparently Davis was instrumental in encouraging as well, because it was the most, it was known as the Moscow of Southern California. He wanted Obama to continue his communist instruction and ergo go to Occidental College. And there's just no opportunity that we know of that Obama ever had to hear from somebody who said, you know, Barack, America is truly an exceptional country. This is a country that has shed its blood for captive nations in the process of liberating them. This is a country that's overcome its own sins of racism. This is a country that has uniquely, among the countries on the face of the world, starting with a Christian foundation of the Puritans and others who came to America in the 17th and 18th century, laid a foundation that produced an economic freedom that just dazzled the world in its productivity. This is truly the most unique nation that's ever existed, and is one to be celebrated. It's one to be encouraged in its continuing its direction from the past. And instead, Obama has a completely opposite point of view. It's as if he were educated on a different planet where everything that I've just laid out is upside down. And so his view of America is uniformly a bad view.
Well, let's go further, and Alan Keyes has put it well. This is the only country on the face of the earth where, and I think Condoleezza Rice put it elegantly, where it doesn't make any difference where you came from. It only makes a difference where you're going. Now, yes, there's an easier path for some than for others, but no matter from whence you've come, there's no limit on where you can go, where you can, what you can accomplish, and it's not like that in the entire rest of the world. And I put forward that the world, without exception, hates us. The world, without exception, envies us. The world, without exception, wishes us not only not well, it wishes us ill. And to assume anything else is to be naive. Now, Chief, your thought.
Also, Mr. D'Souza describes his life in the movie. He immigrated here from India, and in India he was destined to be to live in a certain social class. He could never get out of that. His marriage would have been arranged for him. His job would have been arranged for him. His finance would have been arranged for him, and he was stuck there in that environment. But coming here to America, he was able to get out of that. And like you just described, the land of opportunity. No matter from whence he came, he could be anything except the President of the United States, because he wasn't born here as an American.
It didn't stop Obama.
But that's true. Well, if you break the law, you can do things for a while. But also, to go back to what Larry said, also it was dramatized in the film that Barack's father abandoned him and his mother. Barack's mother remarried a man who was pretty much like Barack Sr. But during the course of time, that man got a job at a pretty decent company, got a pretty good job, and started realizing the advantages of capitalism and turned to being a capitalist. When he did that and tried to encourage Barack's mother to go with him to social affairs and to the company dinners and whatnot, she dumped him in a heartbeat and took Barack away and kept him back in that indoctrination of the communist, socialist state of being.
She was hardcore, had no question about it, and she made sure that Obama was exposed, like to the Bonahue School, to just the hardcore leftist stuff. And that was an elite school, but it was elite communism that they was learning. So that's the president that we have, and we shouldn't try to kid ourselves that there's any different explanation.
Now, there's a story I sent to everyone about a 92-year-old guy that doesn't live very far from me. He lives in Verona, Kentucky. It's about a 30-minute drive from my house. He's 92. He fought in World War II. He was in his home in Verona, Kentucky, a modest home, sitting in, he doesn't sleep a lot. And the bottom line was, he heard people breaking into his house. Well, being who he is, he didn't panic. He just took, the necessary steps, 8 or 10 steps, to the closet, got out his rifle that was primed and loaded, sat back in his chair where he had a strategic view of the top of the stairs from the basement. And as the three thugs came up the stairs, the first one that came up, he fired one shot, hit him right in the heart, killed him. The other two, after peeing in their pants, took their dead friend and tried to leave. He then calmly called the police. I think his comment was, "I just killed a varmint, and there's two more of them lugging him out." And the police came, and here were these two morons and one dead moron, and they arrested him. And they've now announced that this man will not be prosecuted, hallelujah, although in England a guy was about the same age who shot someone in his own house, robbing him for the fourth time. They did arrest him. So that's, again, a difference between America and another so-called free country like England. Larry?
Big difference, because the Brits have succumbed to the European idea that self-defense is not a legitimate use of a firearm. So they basically think that we're expendable, they being the ones in the elite, the ruling class. It's sort of like a shepherd. If he loses a sheep out of 100, well, no big deal. He's still got 99.
Well, when everything comes from government down and not from God to the people up, that's the way it is. Now, Greg Howard has just joined us. Greg, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Glad to have you with us. You know Larry Pratt, I know, and Chief Steve. Have you seen 2016?
Oh, absolutely.
What are your thoughts?
I thought it was very well done. I thought it went very nicely to the roots of Obama's rage, which, of course, is the book that the movie was based on. Obama has this great rage against America, but it stems from his unresolved daddy issues. Obama never really knew who his father was, and this was part of the problem, was with his radicalized mother. As Larry alluded to, she was hardcore. Every time Obama had a chance to taste anything resembling a normal life, she sheltered him from it. Lolo Soetoro, his stepfather, did get the good job with the oil companies involved and started having contacts with American people. And she would be invited to come to these dinner parties, and he would overhear his mother screaming, "Those are not my people," referring to Americans. Obama only saw the evil of America through his mother's eyes. It was carefully selected and programmed. All he ever heard was how bad America was. All he ever saw was how evil America was. And as a result, what was his very first act upon becoming the President of the United States was to return the bust of Churchill, who put down the revolution in Kenya, in which his father participated. That was his first act of defiance against the traditional American alliance systems, was to push the bust of Churchill back to England. The gist of the movie is that Obama is going to take away all the advantages that he perceives wrongly that America received as a result of its colonization of the world. America was never a colonial empire such as the British and other nations, but he perceives it that way through his own distorted, twisted upbringing, and as a result, he is now helping Brazil and other third world countries to impoverish us, and that is exactly the gist of the movie. So I think if you have not yet seen it, I urge you to go see it. One thing I'll point out about the crowd that I saw the movie with, there was a lot of gray hair in that audience, and that gray hair is going to be at the polls, and that gray hair is already angry enough. Now they're informed.
Larry, there was a fellow down in Texas by the name of Vic Stacy, 66 years old. As Greg just pointed out, there's a lot of gray hair around, except mine, of course, which I color. But the fact is that older people in this country are getting a little bit tired of those who don't appreciate this country. The great generation that made this country free or helped to keep it free and helped to keep the world free. This guy was in his home. One of his neighbors had killed one of his other neighbors and then decided he was going to kill the police who showed up. So he even the odds, and from 150 feet away with his .357 handgun, hit the guy initially in the leg, and then when the guy decided to start shooting at him, he decided to irrigate his body mass with 3 more. You're familiar with that story?
No, but I like hearing stories like that. That's the way things ought to turn out.
Well, he saved the policeman's life, that's for sure.
I was going to add that. Don't forget the fact that he saved the arriving policeman's life who was being under attack by this perpetrator. I'd like to add a statistical fact, too. Both of the Kentucky story and the Texas story, in both cases, the perpetrators will never do it again.
There's something to be said for that. And one of the things that you hear regularly from the left, our friends like Barack, Michelle, and other communists and Marxists, is that, well, you don't know what that person's had to deal with. I'd like to follow up with, and I don't care. It's not relevant. If you're shooting at me and mine, I have only one interest, and that is that you die. Everything else,
what they were making us deal with, it matters.
Exactly. Exactly. And there are people who do have problems. I wouldn't argue that. There are people where life has not been fair. I wouldn't argue that. There are people who have been whatever you want to name, good, bad, or indifferent, has happened to them. The reality is, in 99.9 cases out of 99.9, they know what they're doing is wrong. That's why they hide. That's why they take cover. That's why they do what they do. They may be mad about all those things, but they know what they're doing is wrong. Greg?
Well, that's just the point, is life is not fair. It was never meant to be fair. If you want a quick illustration of why life isn't fair, just watch a herd of gazelles running away from a pride of lions. Why that one gazelle? It's not fair. That's the point. But the point is, this country will give you a fair chance, but you have to make it happen yourself. The fact that folks want to take shortcuts, and Obama is the king of shortcuts. There is nothing this man has done that wasn't aided and abetted by someone else. I don't think there's anything he can point to that he really accomplished on his own effort. He got into college on affirmative action. He has taken the shortcut of cheating, of destroying people to rise in his political career. Everything about Obama screams shortcut. Is it any wonder that the whole country is screaming about, I'm a victim, and I demand my shortcut too? The man is the worst possible example for this country, and there is no doubt in my mind that we cannot stand just the example of an Obama in office.
All right, Larry, let's talk about a second term, God forbid, for Obama. There's a lot of going on out there, a lot of people talking about what he really wants to do, unfettered by re-election. Although, in my humble opinion, he and a guy named Michael Bloomberg are exactly the same, except one's taller. And that is, they think that they're smarter, better. There's a lot of story out there about how Obama is so cocky and offers everyone advice on everything and wants to beat everyone in minutia, but doesn't really think about or have the ability to think about the big picture. What would you believe we would have to deal with?
There's an arrogance in the thinking of socialists that they know better and that they have a special knowledge that the rest of us dopes don't have and can't get. And that entitles them, in their mind, to lord it over, to tell us what to do. And I don't think they get it, because we are a right-of-center country. And to put it the way one of our forefathers put it, he had been a colonial soldier, and years after the war, in the 19th century, early 19th century, he was asked by an historian, what were you guys thinking when you decided to take up arms against the world's largest empire and mightiest army? And this laconic New Englander said, they were fixing to rule us, and we were fixing that they shouldn't. And that's what Obama's running into, I think. We still have that same basic leave me alone point of view that was expressed by that old colonial soldier. So bring it on, Mr. President, but we have it. We got it figured out. You weren't vetted in 2008, but, buddy, you vetted yourself for the next 3.5 years, and we're going to act accordingly as a result of the vetting.
Chief, you know, you're law enforcement. A lot of people think that law enforcement believes that people should be controlled. Is that true?
I don't think that's really true, but as far as most law enforcement agencies are concerned, though, that makes it easier for them to do their job. So if people are not armed, for example, or people are not allowed to have any type of authority in the community, that makes it easier for the police to do their jobs because they don't have to sort through who is and who isn't. But I don't really believe the police feel that people should not have authority or that position, but there is a tendency for them to go that way because it makes their job easier in their mind.
Now, let's take Chicago, where no one has any authority except dead fish, where no one has any guns, no one has any real ability to do other than whatever they're allowed to do by the mayor, who's the power figure not in that city, but in that state, because as Chicago goes, the state goes. They're having more shootings than an arcade. There were like, what, 89 shootings in the last weekend or something? It's just it's worse than Beirut. It's worse than Baghdad. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, if the government is going to have those kind of controls and not allow people to protect themselves, well, then they can't protect themselves. And then, but if government makes those rules but then can't protect the people, then they've made a huge mistake. But also, the criminal element knows that if the people are limited in what they can do to protect themselves, they can go in there and take over. It's just like gangsters. They control a block or as part of the city. They know who's in charge. They know who's got the power, and they know what to do. So it's almost like the government becomes the mafia, in a sense, and control the flow of the legalized people's activities, but they can't control the criminals because they're criminals.
Dave, Larry, you know, in hearing that from Chief, somehow I think of Washington, D.C., where we have a lot of members of the House, and by the way, Jessica Bradshaw will be joining us here shortly. We have a lot of members of the House who are good people, a lot of members of the Senate who are good people, but the reality is this president is just ignoring Congress, and the Democrats are allowing him to do it, and the Republicans don't have the balls to do what needs to be done. Am I close?
There's a very simple solution to the president's exercise of illegitimate authority, and that's to defund the areas where he's offending. Just take away the money so that it doesn't matter what orders he gives. If you don't have money, you can't carry him out because, Stan, there's one thing I've found out about people inside the Beltway. Nobody volunteers for anything. It's all cash on the barrel.
But again, we're seeing him basically ignore the constraints of the Constitution, the constraints of the legislative branch. I think he's authorizing and doing things that are not authorized by Congress. And no one has the ability to find out because the Justice Department is just one of his, servants.
It's going to take a change in the attitude among the Republicans, particularly in the House, and they're going to have to determine that they do have the power of the purse, and that's a very powerful tool that they have. So far, they've been unwilling to use it, and that should be something that we, the people, should be rising up and declaring, either use the power of the purse or we're going to find somebody else to exercise that power, but you've got to take action now. They can do it even before the election. We don't have to wait for the new Congress that might come in January, although hopefully that will bring relief. But it's very disappointing that Boehner is so passive and just sits around with kind of a tear running down his face and so sorry that all this is happening. Well, really, he needs to get out of the way and let somebody else take over. So until that happens, the Republican caucus is going to remain feckless.
Well, they're afraid. The GOP is afraid to do this because they're afraid of pissing off the independent voters. And so they are more concerned, and I'm talking not about every person in Congress, but for the most part, the GOP is more concerned about getting reelected than getting the job done properly for the American people. But
and Chief, the irony is, and I agree with your assessment, that they're flat out wrong about their perception of most of the independents. The independents are independents because they've gotten so sick of the Republican Party being such a feckless group of people that they aren't willing to call themselves Republican, although philosophically, if you ask them where they are, they would go pretty much down the line of the Republican platform. If the Republicans acted like Republicans, they would find, perhaps to their surprise, that the independents will say, well, what took you so long? Hooray!
I agree. Greg?
Well, I think the bottom line is that Congress, first of all, can't defund anything where there's been no budget. They cannot control where they refuse to exercise their own congressional power. And Boehner has been about as useless as boobs on a bullfrog since we handed him the most historic victory in 70 years. And he refuses to get out of the way, as Larry said. But more importantly, I am sick and tired, and I see this on Twitter, and I have chastised, and I've blocked about 400 or 500 people in the past 2 weeks of what I call partiots, not patriots. I am sick and tired of GOP being more important than this country. It is time we start standing up and demanding that some sort of recompense for the blood, sweat, and tears we put out in 2010 to give them this majority, and all we've seen is nothing. They should have impeached Obama. Well, maybe it wouldn't have done anything in the Senate. Maybe they would not have voted to remove, but it is the House's job to impeach. They bring the articles of impeachment. If nothing else, we could have neutered this clown and kept him tied in knots. And Larry is absolutely right. I am an independent, and there's a reason I'm not GOP. It's because I see these cowards in the House of Representatives doing absolutely nothing with the power that the Tea Party, me, and many others gave them.
Chief?
Just quickly, I want to say that I've been a Republican my whole life, but most of the GOP are kind of brainwashed, and in this regard, they all say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of this country and to the republic for which it stands. They often don't realize when the GOP and that oath conflict, they should stick with the oath and stick with our country. But also, somebody made a comment, either you or Larry early in the show talked about how the Democrats, the communists got in and took over the Democrat Party. That should be a good lesson for conservatives to get in and take over the GOP.
All right, Larry, we just got a minute left. You've got it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I only have a minute left, so it's all yours.
Okay, well, I think we're all on the same page. We've seen a situation that needs remedial action, and it's up to us to get in touch with our members of Congress and tell them, get a move on, or we're going to move you out. That ought to be the message of this November. And
for people to get their updates from Gun Owners of America, they do what?
Gunowners.org. They can sign up for those updates right there on the front page of gunowners.org.
Folks, it's a great organization. It works hard. I'm a member. You should be a member. And it's, it's embarrassing. They don't even ask for any money, but send them money too. Larry, thanks. Keep up the good work, sir, and keep us posted.
Thank you all, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
All right, we'll have Jessica Bradshaw with us shortly. Stay tuned for more of Talk to Solomon. You have a computer, if you're alive today, which means you have a hard drive, which means it's going to break down. Mosey, the backup people, for thousands, for Stan, for thousands of people, for tens of thousands of people, is simply common sense. You go to cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and sign up. It's just a few dollars a month. Let me tell you something. We had a break-in. They stole our whole computer. You know what? When they take the computer, you can't recover anything, but we had Mosey. We had the backup. We were able to restore everything simply by buying another computer. cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and give yourself common sense, peace of mind, great value, the best thing you've ever done, sooner or later, it's going to be. Mosey, the backup people. I like to eat. Do you like to eat? We all do. And usually we run to the grocery store, we run to the convenience store, or we have something in the fridge. But power's been out in parts of this country in the last few weeks. We don't know what's going to come down the pike economically. Smart people are putting in food. Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves is a line of foods that you can put away that will last for a very long time. You know, they say eat what you store and store what you eat. This is great tasting stuff, healthy for you, a full line. You go to our website, cpnlive.com, and click on the button for Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves and see all the different things we have. This is good tasting food. It's reasonably priced. It will last. And it's worth its weight in gold if a problem arises. I know you don't think there's going to be anything that goes wrong. Actually, you do. This is smart. This is smart insurance. This is smart preparation. This is smart thinking. You have kids, you have a spouse, you have parents, you have dependents, you have an appetite. All those things can be addressed by a frugal but smart investment in Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves. Try them out. You will be tickled to death with the taste of them. You know what? In many cases, people start to eat this and they think, heck, this tastes better and costs less than what you're going to the grocery store to buy. cpnlive.com, check it out. Hey, my name is Stan Solomon, and you know if I have something to say, I'll say it. And I'll only tell you the truth because I'm a Republican, not a Democrat. Democrats always lie. Republicans only lie half the time. I don't lie at all. This is the Fuel Mule. It's an extraordinary product that was developed by a friend of mine, an engineer, and it increases the fuel mileage on your vehicle. If you have a combustion engine, this will increase your mileage by 10 to 20%. It bolts around your fuel line. You can install it yourself or have your mechanic do it. It is an extraordinary item and it flat works. I've been using it for more than 10 years. It's increased my mileage on every vehicle I put it on, and by the way, it will last forever. You can get rid of your vehicle, just take it off and put on the next one. Go to cpnlive.com. You'll have more information there. You can order it right there. We absolutely guarantee you'll be satisfied. The Fuel Mule. It's a way to kick down your cost of fuel and kick up your mileage. Don't you love the name? I thought of it. The Fuel Mule. Let me ask you a question. Do you like being sick? I have in my hand an incredible product. It's called TR10 Supercolloidal Silver. TR10 stands for a trace to the negative 10th power. The particles in this silver product are 6 to 8 angstroms, 6 to 8 10 billionths of a meter. Now listen to me. Silver has been the magic bullet for all of human existence. The Egyptians used silver instruments. We use silverware. They put silver in your teeth because nothing can grow on silver. Silver will kill anything but liberalism. I'm working on that. This product, you go to cpnlive.com, buy 1 quart of this product. It will last you for a very long time. Anytime you feel like you've been exposed to something bad, take some of this product, spray it in your mouth, or take a little bit and gargle it, swallow it. It will kill any pathogen. The average antibiotic kills 10 to 20 different pathogens. This product will kill 700 plus. Do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, do your doctor a favor. He's tired of seeing you. Get Supercolloidal Silver. Go to cpnlive.com, order the product. It's $29.95 plus shipping. I think it's $39.95 delivered any place in America right to your door. It's worth 10 times that. Check it out. If you're not 100% happy, just return it and we'll give you your money back. Do you like being healthy? I do. In fact, this product, which I've been taking for years now, is absolutely the answer. Now, you may not believe it, but I'm actually 21, plus tax, of course. This product has 146 different healthful nutrients in it, and it's liquid, so it's bioavailable. It tastes great, and it's sugar-free. 1 ounce of Sonic Life each day will help you to maintain and enhance your health. It's a kind of a gift well, that you'll thank your mom for, your husband for, your wife for, your kids for, whoever you give it to, they're going to say thank you. And you are going to enjoy the benefits of having all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the nutrients your body needs in one very reasonably priced product. Just go to cpnlive.com and everything's right there. You'll be able to read all the ingredients. The price is right there, a flat price delivered to your door anywhere in the United States of America. Sonic Life is a gift, a great gift. Give it to yourself. I do.